Hello everyone. I thought today I'd do a video of my particular hotkeys. If you're wondering what my hotkeys are, I know there are many videos from different content providers about their hotkeys and what they do. And I thought I'd just do something that I do. I like to think mine are pretty simple, and I don't use that many, but they are consistent, and I feel like they do help. You know in general, and I feel like everyone should use hotkeys if they do want to play at a high level and improve. And it's not always something that will come natural. Sometimes you have to remap your muscle memory to use different hotkeys, which is something that I've also had to do in the past. Something that I've always wanted to use and don't is camera locations. So if I did want to put that into my game, I would have to really force my brain to think about it. But let's get into it. So in terms of, if we go through the hotkeys on the left, 1 through 6, we'll have the, we'll do it like this. So I usually have my main army as 1, so this is usually my infantry army, this is usually my mass, and then I have my camel riders on 2. And if you're trying to, manage all these hotkeys, you just gotta get used to switching between 1 and 2, and then right-clicking or A moving, right? 1A move, 2A move, and try to move them, together or separately, right? And some people have asked me, okay, like, do you use the all army hotkey? And I generally don't, or I don't even think I have it bound to anything, because there might be situations where you have some army here, some army back here, and you're attacking from the front, and you don't want to pull your whole army to a particular area by mistake. So you do want to try to avoid using that, but if you're at a level where a lot of your fights are just one big mass against the other, then yes, it can be useful. But that was just kind of my comments on there. And then I'll have my siege as my building killing siege is 4, and then my any other siege as 3. So whether it's mangonels, springolds, if I manage to have more than that, then I'll put these on like 8, and I'll have like springolds on 4. But it's rare that I have more than 4 control groups for my units. And then 5 is all my military production buildings, and then I use tab to cycle between each of the production buildings. And then if I want to build 5 crossbows, I hold shift. So I hold shift. So for example, if I want to build 5 camel lancers, I hold shift and press W, and then 5 camel lancers will be in production, and then 5 ghulams as an example. Some people use different hotkeys for the different buildings, which I think is fine. But again, I want to keep this as simple as possible. I don't have to remember where a whole bunch of different buttons are. And I want also my skills with hotkeys to be transferable to other RTS games in the future, right? They may not have stables, barracks, archery range. They may only have 2 production buildings. And so if I always just keep all of mine together and just press tab to cycle through them, which every RTS game uses, then that's much more transferable than having different hotkeys for the different buildings. Okay, so that's usually a question that I get a lot is, why don't you use F3 for barracks and so on and so forth. Okay. So what else? F1 is what I use for idle villagers, and if you use the computer a lot, you'll know that you have other hotkeys that Windows uses. So Control Shift A, for example, will select everything, right? Control A will just select what is on your current screen, and then what I usually do if I want to select all my army at any point, instead of the all army hotkey, what I'll do is I'll Control Shift A to select all my units, then hold Shift to exclude units, and then I will exclude units that I want, right? And then move them together. So I'll just do that again in case you didn't see. I'll do Control Shift A to select all my units, then hold Shift to exclude units, and then click on the units that I want to exclude. Okay. The alternative of that, if I want to find a certain type of unit very quickly, I'll Control Shift A again to select all my units, and then hold Control this time and select the units that I want to select. A type of unit. Okay. So F1 is for idle villagers. So example, let's say I have a bunch of idle villagers. I will do Shift F1 and will select all my idle villagers. And then I can tell them to go do something like build a castle or farm transition or anything. And then one thing that I also found pretty useful was if I have units in production, or let's say I meant to build gulams and I built 5 spears. Instead of going down here and clicking, the 5 spears, what I did is bound my tilde button. And if you don't know what your tilde button is the button next to your 1 button and below the escape button. So I would just hold my tilde and it would remove all of them. And I find that that's a lot faster than clicking there. Okay. And then if you're relatively new to the game, or you're still trying to learn or still trying to grasp hotkeys, this is always something that I have down with muscle memory, but make sure you get used to the hotkeys down here. So if you need to build anything in the first section, it's Q. If you need to build anything in the second section, it's W. And then it's based off of grid system. So what the grid system is it's Q, and then you're going to use from Q to R, and then Q down to Z across to C or V. And it's just going to be those same 16 keys for everything. And most RTS games have moved this way. So again, skills that are transferable. I know StarCraft now uses the grid system if you choose, as an example. Okay. So yeah, getting used to doing QQ for a house, making sure to hold Shift, right? If I want to build multiple houses, again, I'm going to hold that Shift button, and then instead of like moving your mouse around to click where you're putting your houses, just put your put your mouse in the center of the first house and then just click around, or click on, like, just left click, and then it'll build the houses around automatically. Okay. What else? I think that's pretty. Oh, monks, right? So like I snap up a lot of relics, so I use CAPSLOCK to cycle through my monks. So if I want to go there, Shift, click back there, another monk, right? Shift, click back to the monastery, and then third monk, Shift, click back to the monastery, and then I can use my monks or I can use CAPSLOCK to cycle around. This I developed because of HRE, right? You're snapping up a lot of relics as HRE, but even as IUBIDs and other civs, you want to snap up relics when you can. So having that available, not to mention that they have this, nice mass heal that I can do. Okay. And these are all my main hotkeys that I use. Let me see if I can think of any others. Oh yes, if we use the we have blacksmiths, and if I do, give me a second, in Jiffy. So the only other ones that I'll use are F2. I'll use F2 for idle military, or Shift F2 if I want to grab all my idle military. So this is good if I have units in places that I don't know about and I want to pull them. F3 I use for my eco buildings, so I can get my upgrades and so on and so forth. And then F4 is all my other tech, right? So I can get these. And that is all my hotkeys. Again, I just to recap, I'm using F1 idle villagers, F2 idle military, F3 eco buildings, and again I use tab to cycle through them. F4 other tech. So blacksmith universities, 1 for my main army, 2 for my cavalry, 3 for my specialty siege, and so those being Rebaldequins, mangonels, and springalds, 4 for building killing siege, so rams or cannons, 5 for my military buildings, which again I use tab to cycle through, 6 for my TCs, CAPSLOCK for my monks, and then the grid system for building buildings, and tilde for canceling units in production or buildings in production, and Control Shift A to select all my units, and then holding Shift to exclude units, and then clicking them, or holding Control and then clicking them to select a particular type of unit. So yeah, those are all my hotkeys, just in case you were curious or you wanted to apply these to some of your own gameplay. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. And if you want to see any particular type of content or different content in the future, please leave a comment below. and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching.